The content you are about to ingest is for mature audiences only. Human written, voiced by AI. Welcome to Bella Vita, Tales of Sidori Island Part 1. Trigger warnings such as cheating, dubious consent, BDSM, secret society, abduction, female revenge, mild torture, and many other kinks and fetishes may occur throughout the story. If you aren't into weird shit, you reserve the option to press stop at any time. If you like weird shit and wish to continue, sit back, do nothing, and enjoy. Episode 9, Ragefest.
Dom is sitting on the edge of her bed, with a sock in her hand, staring off into space. The knots in her stomach tighten the more she thinks about the rage party this evening. She looks down at her DPN attire and adjusts the zipper so just the right amount of cleavage is showing, just as Jojo advised. Dom looks up at the full-length mirror across from her bed and notices that the bars of her nipple rings are visible due to the tightness of her outfit. She chuckles as Cheyenne's comments about her nipples replay in the back of her mind. Dom's toes barely touch the floor because of her mattress height. She lifts her feet and stares at the midnight blue nail polish freshly painted on them. She leans over to put her sock on, and suddenly her phone rings. Dom places her sock beside her, looks at her phone, and doesn't recognize the number. She is hesitant to answer, but answers anyway.
Hello.
A slightly familiar voice on the other end says hello, his name, and how she gave him her number at work a few days prior.
I would have called
She
sooner.
immediately remembers and is relieved it's not an RTP salesperson trying to sell her a robot companion or attempting to convince her to be a test subject for a new fertility experiment. PJ explains he would have called sooner, but he had a family emergency to clear up. He admits he will tell her all about it when she goes out with him this evening. Dom laughs and calls him extremely confident and humbles him instantly when she tells him she has a work event to attend. PJ rebuttals by saying everything was cool and he was going to a party he heard about. Dom mockingly repeats PJ and accuses him of trying to play off his feelings being hurt.
Don't play.
After a few seconds of silence, she offers the idea of meeting the next day for
How
brunch.
about tomorrow?
PJ jokingly tells Dom to shut up and says he likes the idea of brunch. They say goodbye and Dom tells PJ not to get too fucked up at the party so he can make their date. He laughs and says he won't, and they hang up. Dom reaches and grabs her sock, and a knock interrupts her putting it on. Before she says anything, Cheyenne bursts through the door asking how she looks.
How'd I look?
Dom's eyes get big as Cheyenne does a complete turn. Cheyenne admits she was going for a sexy librarian look, defending her decision on a cream turtleneck tucked into a burgundy corduroy skirt stopping slightly above her mid-thigh, a pair of black tights, and black platform loafers adding a bit of innocence to her look. Dom giggles and tells Cheyenne she looks amazing.
You look
Cheyenne says she agrees, compliments Dom's toes and tells her to thank her boss for sending over her own pair of glasses because it helps to sell her damsel in distress vibe. Cheyenne turns around and says she is going to finish getting ready so she can drop off little Corey at her mom's house. Cheyenne closes Dom's door and Dom grabs her sock. Cheyenne abruptly opens the door, sticking her head through the crack, telling Dom she needs to relax. Her glasses say her heart rate and blood pressure is up. She questions why she is so antsy for a company party. Cheyenne closes the door, Dom lifts her leg, and puts on one sock before she goes back to staring off into space.
Alana yells from the bathroom for Jason and Alyssa to stop horseplaying around and for them not to break anything while she is gone. Jason and Alyssa can be heard giggling from the other room as Jason exclaims they won't. Alana is finishing her last touches of makeup before Mia arrives to pick her up. She wipes the excess plum-colored lipstick from around the corner of her full lips. Alana adjusts her black dress to make sure it lies evenly across her skin. She applies lotion to her shoulder and a portion of her chest, which is exposed by the design of the dress. She even applies it to a portion of her stomach where the dress material is cut out like the letter C. Alana takes one last look in the mirror, squeezes her breasts together, turns off the light and exits the bathroom. She grabs her black half jacket and purse off of the bed, slips her feet into her black gray bottom heels. Lastly, she walks past her dresser and sprays 3 squirts of libido perfume. It was Alana's first time wearing the scent. After doing research on Christina, she learned Christina was a brand ambassador and spokesperson for the company. Alana walks out of her room and Jason, who is on the floor playing with Alyssa, looks up and says, "Damn, Alyssa stops playing with her doll, looks up, repeats Jason, and says, "Damn." Alana and Jason both look at her. Alana reprimands and tells her she can't say that. Alana's phone dings. She mentions Mia is outside. She snaps her finger and says out loud she almost forgot. Turns and walks back into the bedroom. Alana heads to her side of the bed and grabs a box located in the small space underneath her nightstand. She opens the box and takes out her DPN glasses along with the remote-controlled vibrator and places the vibrator in her purse. She slides the box back under the nightstand and puts on her DPN glasses. Alana exits the room. Jason looks up at her and asks when she got new glasses. She mentions Mia and her picked up a pair the other day when they went shopping, claiming she couldn't see well from her old pair. She looks over at Jason and the lenses on her DPN glasses are informing her of Jason's rapid heart rate increase as he stares at her. While walking towards her husband and daughter, Alana's heartbeat is deafening in her ears as she thinks to herself her husband is horny, and she has lied to him about going to get a few drinks with Mia. Instead, she is going to an event with Mia to meet up with Christina, the woman whose husband made her come to dinner and Christina who made her come at dinner. Alana stops mid-thought and realizes how confusing everything sounds in her head, so she imagines how it would sound trying to explain it to Jason. Alana takes a deep breath, leans in, hugs Alyssa and gives her a kiss. She leans over to Jason to give him a hug and kiss. He leans back and inquires about the new perfume, insinuating it smells sexy. Alana admits to wanting to try something new as she kisses him. Jason passive-aggressively tries to stick his tongue into Alana's mouth. She pulls away in a playful manner and tells him to stop. That's how Alyssa got here. Alana's glasses continue to indicate the increase in Jason's heart rate. She makes way to the door and tells everyone she loves them. Alana leaves to meet Mia downstairs.
PJ hangs up the phone with Dom as he sits in the parking lot of Shady Joe's. He texts his friend Lo and asks him how much longer until he gets there. Within the minute, Lo responds saying, "Pulling up." A car pulls into the parking spot next to PJ's. A tall, dark-skinned man with locks past his shoulder gets into PJ's passenger side seat. They greet each other with their usual "what's up" and handshake, followed by PJ pleading with Lo, asking if he has it. Lo looks over at PJ and remains silent for about 5 seconds before he reminds PJ that his boy always comes through. Lo reaches in his pocket and pulls out a box and hands it to PJ. PJ opens the box and sees a pair of DPN glasses. PJ removes them from the box, putting them on, asking Lo if he's sure they will work for him to get into the party. Lo reassures PJ that he works in the lab that makes them and he programmed them himself. He tells PJ the only issue is he made the avatar for the glasses and private mode only activates for the creator of the avatar. Lo informs PJ he won't be able to change into private mode, which conceals his facial identity with an avatar. PJ asks what that means exactly. What does that mean? Lo explains the process of setting up an avatar to conceal identities from others who are also wearing the glasses, adding while in private mode they can only see the created avatar. He concludes by telling PJ everyone is required to wear their glasses at all times during the party. Lo imparts to PJ that he doesn't want to get technical, but he simplifies by saying, while wearing the glasses, they emit a virtual image, which is the created avatar where a person's face should be. People won't even be able to tell if others are wearing glasses unless they built it into their individual avatar. Lo tells PJ, unless someone knows him personally at the party, they will think his face is the avatar. He reminds PJ he grew up in the church and he doubts any church members will be attending this type of party. PJ asks Lo does he know what type of party it is. Lo claims he heard some people talking in the break room. He said, the people said, it was just a bunch of boring rich people who talk about money and they make business deals right on the spot. He also heard they do a fancy dinner. Lo looks around the car as if someone was watching or listening, turns back and looks at PJ and says he also overheard someone say after the business talk they order 100 escorts for the guys to do whatever with. PJ looks down at the gold frame glasses and tells Lo that's the type of shit he is talking about and asks him how much he wants for the glasses. Lo certifies he would normally charge a stranger 500 for the glasses, but because they are boys he will take 250. PJ agrees on 250 being a good deal and admits he is spending his money he needed to save to move out of his mom's house in 30 days, but he has a way to make that back. Lo asks PJ if he is sure about spending his money and informs him he can't stay with him and his girl if he gets kicked out. PJ reminds Lo he's one of a kind and he can handle it. PJ sends the money through the money app. Lo acknowledges he's received the money. The two shake hands and Lo exits the car. Just as PJ is getting ready to drive off, Chantel sends him a message stating they need to talk as soon as possible. PJ responds asking how late she was going to be awake because he had an event to go to. Chantel replies, confirming she will be up later than normal because her co-worker Linda invited her to a late dinner and exclusive club event. PJ assures her he will message her when he leaves the event.
Dr. Strickland is sitting on the couch with his laptop in his lap typing away when Christina walks out of the room with her red spandex bodysuit DPN attire. Dr. Strickland comments on how he hasn't seen her wear that outfit in years since they met. With her knee-high red stiletto boots in hand, she sits down next to Dr. Strickland, extending her arms, asking him to do the honors. He places his laptop down beside him. She hands him the pair of boots as she scoots to the other side of the couch and stretches out her legs. He holds her right boot as she pushes her leg into the boot with him assisting zipping it to her knee. He rubs her inner thigh, asking her if she plans to participate in the party festivities. Christina tells him no because she retired once they decided to become serious regarding their relationship. She claims she is only there to support her friend she hadn't seen in years. By doing so, she was only going to observe and go to the dinner. Dr. Strickland smiles and opens Christina's other boot, awaiting her foot to slide in. As Christina is sliding her foot inside of her boot, she asks Dr. Strickland if he wanted her to bring him some food from the party. He smiles and says he's okay. He was going to order delivery from Braden's Fried Chicken and Cognac, where they have the best fried chicken and oldest aged cognac. Dr. Strickland zips up her boot, pats the inside of her left thigh. Christina swings her legs, placing them on the floor. She leans over to Dr. Strickland and gives him a kiss. He tells her to tell Jojo hi. She stands up, blows a kiss to him while walking to the front door, and she leaves.
Cheyenne lifts up her son Corey Jr. so he can press the button to ring the doorbell. Within a matter of seconds, the door flies open and a high-pitched shriek of excitement echoes in the foyer of the house. Mrs. Davidson reaches out her arms and grabs Corey Jr. from Cheyenne. Cheyenne bends down and picks up the bags she has for her son to spend the night. She walks into the house and her mother informs her she didn't need to bring anything because they have everything. Cheyenne corrects her, accusing her mother of not having CJ's favorite cup, his favorite book, his favorite blanket, or his favorite toy. Mrs. Davidson rebuttals, saying CJ at least has his favorite grandma. Cheyenne smiles and asks where her father is. Mrs. Davidson explains to Cheyenne her father had a business event to go to and he will be home later. Cheyenne inquires from her mother if she is working on any new designs. Mrs. Davidson confirms she is, and Mr. Davidson is presenting them for his company this evening at the event. Cheyenne admits to her mom, both of her parents working together is pretty cool. Cheyenne receives a message from Dom urging her to hurry back home because their driver will be there to pick them up within the next 30 minutes. Mrs. Davidson compliments Cheyenne on how nice she looks and asks where she and Dominique were going.
Where are you going?
Cheyenne tells her they were going to have a girls' night out, grab dinner and drinks.
You look nice.
Cheyenne asks CJ to give her a kiss. He reaches his hands out and grabs her face, pulling it closer, giving a sloppy toddler kiss. Cheyenne hugs her mom and son, then leaves the house, making her way back home.
Dom keeps looking at the clock on her phone when a strange noise comes from her DPN tablet. A voice comes through the speakers on the arms of her glasses, providing instructions about tonight's event.
Attention, please. Attention, please. If you are receiving this message, it means the obvious. You own a pair of DPN glasses and have access to the network. We at Dan's private network would like to thank you for your decades of commitment and service in making sure this network operates to its full potential. We at DPN keep detailed records on all of our members and affiliates to ensure all needs and desires are met with excellence. In our previous record system, members were given a rage level from 1 to 10 to define your limits of rage. We are pleased to announce we have completely redesigned the rage level system to rage access levels, also known as RALs, from 1 through 5. Based upon your previous rage level, those of you who are rage level 8 and up have been granted automatic access to level 5. We will go through what each access level means. At this point, you should currently be receiving your access level. People who have been invited by members with RAL 5 are automatically RAL 4.
Alana asks Mia to turn down the radio as her glasses notify her congratulating her on being a RAL 4, and to listen for further instructions. Alana informs Mia on everything happening as she listens to the instructions.
The front door unlocks and Cheyenne walks in as Dom is sitting on the edge of the couch listening to the DPN message. Dom holds up one finger, telling Cheyenne to hold on as she stands there in confusion.
First-time attendees will begin at RAL 1. Anyone who is not RAL5 will have the opportunity through various tasks and challenges to move up to RAL5 within the night. The Citadel Spa and Retreat is an affiliate of DPN. For fun and adventure, we have decided to host tonight's party during conference week to add a degree of excitement to tonight's activities. Every member and guest's goal should be to make it to RAL5 by the end of the night. We have listened to the people, and tonight we are offering open enrollment for selected individuals into the network. Individuals who have received DPN glasses have been carefully selected to join the network. Your DPN glasses is the key granting you access to the level classified areas throughout the hotel. We are discontinuing the old DPN devices and communicating directly through the speakers on the armbands of your glasses. I would encourage everyone at this time to inform their plus ones who don't have access to a DPN device to put on their glasses to receive further instructions. We will continue providing information in 60 seconds.
Cheyenne, hearing the echoes of the speaker from Dom's DPN tablet, reaches inside of her purse and pulls her DPN glasses out of its case. She stares at Dom while she puts them on. A message telling Dom her ride has arrived appears on the lens of the glasses. Dom informs Cheyenne their ride is outside. Dom gets up and walks toward Cheyenne, who is standing at the door, and grabs her tiny backpack from the hook next to the door. Cheyenne opens the door and they exit their penthouse.
Alana reaches under the radio and grabs Mia's glasses. She opens Mia's case and removes the glasses, handing them to her, expressing it should answer all of her questions. Alana sits and watches Mia glide through traffic as they await further instruction.
Individuals who are RAL 1 through 5 will be asked to enter through the east secret entrance. Your glasses will indicate to you where the door is located. You must arrive at your designated time within the 5-minute grace period. Glasses are to be worn on the property at all time, as it grants you access to level-appropriate rooms and protects your anonymity. Individuals who remove their glasses will unfortunately suffer dire consequences. Individuals will place their phone in the provided lockbox where we will store them for safekeeping. Upon gaining access, our sensors will do a health analysis to determine that you are disease-free. Total safety and peace of mind is important to DPN members, guests, and affiliates. Once cleared, you will enter a room we like to call the confessional. There you will be asked to reveal a dark secret about yourself no one else knows. Our room sensors will indicate if you are being truthful. When the light in the room turns green, you will be prompted to complete a task based upon your confession to move up to the next level. If for any reason you are unable to complete the level 1 task, you will be asked to leave and escorted off of the premises immediately. You will be banned from attending any DPN event for the next 5 years. After completion of the level 1 task, individuals can choose to move forward and complete the level 2 task or have the option to stay at level 1. If an individual opts to stay at level 1 and participate in only level 1 activities, private mode may be turned off on the glasses, allowing you to reveal your true identity. All members, guests, and affiliates are bound by the non-disclosure agreement acknowledged by anyone who steps foot onto the Citadel Spa and Retreat premises, no matter the rage access level. If an individual decides to move to the next level, a new task will be presented. Once a person opts out of going to the next level, they will not be able to go up a level until the next party or event. Level achievement can get interesting from level to level. You will have an hour to reach RAL 5 to attend the RAL 5 banquet experience. Individuals with RAL 5 access will enter through the south entrance and will be directed through the glasses to the banquet theatre. Feel free to mingle and partake in the illustrious hors d'oeuvres and cocktails. Announcements and a presentation regarding the future of the network will be presented during dinner. Master chefs and food specialists from across the island have come together to provide the most uniquely exquisite menu for the RAL 5 members. Private mode on DPN glasses is prohibited for members with RAL 5 access. RAL 5 is where you make true connections and build relationships. Personal phones are not permitted for individuals with rage access levels 1 through 4. If RAL 5 is obtained, the individual's phone will be given back to them at dinner. We at Dan's private network wish everyone the best, and let's rage until our heart's content.
Mia stops at a red light and glares at Alana with a stern look, while Alana stares straight ahead, purposely ignoring the evil stares from her friend. Alana cuts the tension by looking over at Mia, accusing her of wanting to go, and it's too late to back out.
You wanted to go.
Mia complains about the both of them being a RAL-1 and not knowing what they have to do to get to RAL-5. She adds on to her frustration by saying how hungry she is and how she has to wait an hour before she can eat.
I'm hungry.
Alana faces forward and sheepishly mumbles, correcting Mia. She is a RAL-4, not RAL-1.
I'm a RAL-4.
Mia slams on her brakes at the next red light and calls Alana a bitch because they will be separated for an hour. Alana assures it will be easy and downplays the length of an hour. Mia shakes her head and takes a deep breath as they pull into the parking area. Alana reassures Mia she will be right behind her, confirming she has a task of her own to complete.
I'll be right behind
Mia
you.
finds a parking spot in the area by the east entrance, turns off the car, hands the keys to Alana, telling her to lock the car and to wish her luck.
Wish me luck.
Alana blows a kiss as Mia exits the car. She stands outside the car with the door open and asks Alana how she looks as she's pulling down her skirt, covering a portion of a rose tattoo.
How do I look?
The tattoo is barely visible through her thigh-high fishnet stockings except for a few petals. Alana tells her she looks great and suggests she unbuttons one more button on her shirt to show off her chest some.
Unbutton one
Mia
more
tells her thank you as she unbuttons her top button, salutes Alana, closes the door and walks in the direction of the hotel. After walking about 40 feet, Mia buttons up her top button while slowly making her way to the entrance.
Alana messages Christina informing her she has arrived and is waiting to enter the hotel. Alana looks out the window and is in awe at the size of the hotel. The Citadel Spa and Retreat has been around for 3 years, and it's her first time being on the property. Alana concedes to her reality of Jason being the only one working, and the price to experience what CSR has to offer is too expensive. The commercials about the Nuru massages and Turkish bath experience had her wondering what they consisted of. Alana wonders if they are included with her RAL-4 access. She periodically looks down at her phone, waiting on a reply from Christina. She flips down the visor and looks at the mirror, adjusting her glasses and checking her makeup quality when a message appears on her phone from Christina. It reads she will see her inside. Alana smiles, turns off her phone, flips the visor back up, exits the car, and follows the entrance directions on her glasses.
Dom places her hand on top of Cheyenne's and acknowledges she has been quiet the whole ride. Dom asks Cheyenne if she is okay. You okay? Cheyenne says she is, and she is trying to put all of the pieces together regarding the tablet, the party, and the rage access levels. Dom attempts to soothe Cheyenne by sharing how much this experience can change her life. She mentions to Cheyenne she doesn't have a rich father or basketball player as a father to a child. Dom exclaims she doesn't want to have to rely on Cheyenne's family to keep supporting her. Dom calls back to the DPN recording about networking opportunities at RAL-5. Cheyenne rebuttals she is only going through with everything because she is nosy. Dom smiles, pushing on Cheyenne's shoulder, urging her not to be too nosy.
I'm nosy.
Cheyenne looks over at Dom, smiling back, saying there's no such thing as too nosy. The vehicle driver stops as a message appears on Cheyenne's glasses, letting her know her arrival time has begun. The driver turns around and announces to Cheyenne it's her stop, the east entrance. Dom and Cheyenne hug. They tell each other they will see each other at dinner.
I'll see you at dinner.
Cheyenne closes the car door and looks for the secret door. The driver proceeds to take Dom to the north entrance.
This episode of Bella Vita Tales of Sidori Island Part 1 is sponsored by...
Here's the plot. A serial killer's last victim survives and is rescued and treated by the best first responder team in the city. The victim is treated at the hospital by a world-renowned doctor who learns the victim has a rare disease. While the police force and FBI are searching for the serial killer, the hospital staff and doctor race to find a cure for the rare disease of the lone survivor of a serial killer. Suddenly, a terrorist plot on the hospital is uncovered and a special ops unit has to intervene before the hospital is destroyed, and the doctor never finds a cure for the lone survivor of the serial killer who the cops need as a witness to help find out who it is. That's their network series plots, not ours. You can clearly tell, over here we ain't them, and they ain't us. Bella Vita Tales of Sidori Island Part 1 isn't just a story, it's an experience. And for those who want to take the potion and go deeper, to uncover the secrets behind the scenes, there's only one place to do it: Patreon. When you subscribe, you get ad-free early access to episodes, exclusive character details, and behind-the-scenes content that takes you inside the mind of the creator. Think of it as your all-access pass to the world of Bella Vita. Visit patreon.com/The Felix Network and join us. Because over here, we are something different.
Marco pulls up to the north entrance door at the Citadel Spa and Retreat. Mercedes and Porsche are standing outside the entrance. Mercedes is wearing her all-white DPN bodysuit. Porsche is wearing lime green. Their signature braided ponytails are prominent as ever. Marco greets the twins as he walks to the rear passenger side of the black SUV and opens the door. Marco is blocking the twins' view as he reaches out his hand to assist the person getting out of the car. The windows are tinted and the only thing visible from the bottom of the car door is a diamond-encrusted stiletto touching the black carpet that leads to the entrance's door. As soon as they can see the top of an updo peeking over the SUV door, they are separated as Dan Hoff walks in between them, greeting Jojo and kissing her on both cheeks.
Hello, beautiful.
Marco closes the door and Dan expresses his excitement to see his longtime friend Jojo. Dan takes Jojo by the arm, divulging all of his plans and ideas for the evening festivities as he escorts her into the building. Mercedes informs Marco all of the rooms have been prepared and they are just waiting on the guests to arrive. Porsche looks at Mercedes and asks her if she believes Dan is an asshole on purpose just so they can take their anger out on him later. Marco smirks and scoffs. He stands in between the twins, extending his elbows for them to grab. The twins turn and face the direction he's facing, grab a hold of his elbows, and they walk into the building.
Dan leads Jojo into a conference room located adjacent to the private elevator that leads to the Imperial suite. Jojo looks down at her watch and notifies Dan. Dom should be pulling up any second. Dom asks the driver why there aren't many cars in the parking areas at the Citadel Spa and Retreat. The driver discloses the true anonymity of the CSR. He talks about how there are parking garages underground that are accessed by underground transports and access roads. Adding there are access roads all across the island. He also cites, most guests use the tram, which drops them off in the center of the hotel. He notes, once on the property, access to everything they need limits the need for vehicles. He educates Dom that Kirby Watts engineered the hotel's design and Harold Davidson Jr. developed the property. Dom nods her head in astonishment as the driver stops the vehicle at the north entrance. Dom thanks the driver and exits the vehicle following the black carpet leading to the entrance. She pulls on the handle of the locked door when a voice communicates through her glasses speaker saying, "Please wait, scanning in progress." After about 10 seconds, the voice tells her access is granted. Dom enters the hotel and sees the man she saw standing outside of the back room at Shady Joe's. The glasses read Marco Nunez, age 35, personal security. As Dom gets closer, his deep voice reverberates through the hallway as he informs Dom by pointing and saying everyone is in the conference room.
Everyone is in the conference room.
Dom tells him thank you as she very nervously walks into the conference room. She instantly recognizes Dan Hoff and Jojo. She allows her glasses to provide the information about the twins Mercedes and Porsche Wallace, age 25. Dom shyly greets everyone in the room as Dan tells her to take a seat. Jojo lets Dom know they will begin shortly because they are waiting for a few more people to arrive. The elevator dings and Jojo excitingly claims one has just arrived. The words "they are in there" can be heard outside of the conference room. Light taps bounce off the door frame, accompanied by a gentle voice saying hello follows immediately behind Marco's directions. Dom turns her face to the door and before she can see exactly who it is, Jojo shouts out she's glad she's on time and tells Rose to have a seat. Dom is soaking in all of the information the room is giving her. Mercedes is in white, Porsche, lime green, Rose, lavender, and herself, all black. They're all wearing the DPN jumpsuits. Dom thinks to herself, nothing about this seems like what Jojo had told her. Jojo interrupts Dom's thoughts by referencing the bickering going on in the hallway, stating everyone has arrived. A man and a woman can be heard arguing outside of the conference room. The woman is accusing the man of bad driving as he claims the zipper on her bright pink jumpsuit was too low, distracting him. He's accusing her of being too bright in the car and her big titties didn't help. She tells him to shut up and go in first.
Amber walks into the room and greets everyone with a smile of excitement and sits down next to Rose. The man can be heard in the hallway trying to convince Marco it was Amber's fault his driving was bad. Trevor walks into the conference room and immediately starts cursing when he sees Rose sitting at the table next to Amber. He then looks to his right and sees Mercedes and Portia sitting in between Dan and Dom. Rose looks down at the table with embarrassment as Trevor claims everything to be a setup. He begins to go on a rant when Dan tells him to shut up and sit down if he wants to make some money. He sternly looks at Dan and expresses that he only heard the money part and suggests the other words were not used when he politely asked him to sit down. Dan asks Trevor can he please have a seat so he can discuss the new private network. Portia taps Dom and encourages her to slide over a chair so Trevor can sit next to her. Trevor admits he is okay where he is. He sits down on the other side of Amber across from Dom and the twins. He holds out his hand and introduces himself to Dom.
Hi, I'm Trevor. Dan stands up and provides his monologue on the new network. Jojo and I have been in business for many decades. We have turned Dan's private network into a multi-billion-dollar business. We've built a network on trust, a network on love, a network on pleasure, and fulfilling your desires. I met Jojo as a young woman trying to find her way, and she in turn led me to find mine. Most of you have recently found out that she has been the mastermind behind the organization. I'm just the ugly face. She has brought out a confidence in me I could have never found on my own. With that being said, she has decided to retire. Tonight's event is more of a ceremony to celebrate what she has built. She has chosen Dominique Taylor to be her successor. I wasn't too thrilled to learn how Dom came into power, but it reminds me so much of Jojo, and I can see why she was chosen to take over. I look forward to working closely with Dom to see what she is made of. Jojo and I have spent many hours together brainstorming ways to expand, make more money, and to upgrade a flawless business model. That is why you are here today.
Dom, Amber, the twins, and Rose look back and forth between Jojo and Dan, waiting for Dan to continue. Rose avoids looking at Amber and Trevor. Dom taps Portia's leg and directs her to look at Rose. They notice her heart rate is extremely elevated. Portia whispers over to Dom and says it's a long story, points her finger at Trevor, stating it's his fault. Trevor overhears and looks up at Portia, winking at him. He ignores her and looks at Dan as Dan continues.
You were specifically chosen because you all have a unique set of talents that are very beneficial to this network. Dom, your ability and ingenuity to find information. The twins, y'all are just fucking sexy. Amber, you're so diabolical and you have a great set of tits.
Amber unzips her bodysuit another inch, exposing the outer edge of her areola.
Rose, your dad is responsible for all of our technology.
Amber leans over to Rose and says fuck Mark, and implies to her she's taking half in the divorce. Rose looks down at the table in embarrassment. Amber sits back in her chair. She smiles and leans back over to Rose, divulging information about Trevor coming in Mark's coffee creamer, insisting she and her father both know what Trevor tastes like. Amber waits 2 seconds before she adds on to her previous statement, claiming she also knows what Trevor tastes like.
I know what he tastes like.
Amber
too.
smugly sits back in her chair. Trevor shakes his head and says pause as he plants his face into his hands. Rose takes a deep breath and continues staring at the table. Mercedes starts snickering as she looks over at her sister Portia, giving Amber an evil glare. Dom audibly whispers what the fuck, while she observes Jojo and Dan smiling at each other.
And Trevor, the ladies in love you.
Amber leans over to Trevor, cutting her eyes at Portia and licks his cheek. Rose takes another deep breath. She violently snaps her head towards Dan and asks if she has to work with that bitch Amber.
Dan tells Trevor to stand up and show Dom why he has this room in a rage, adding he'll exit the room while he pulls it out because he doesn't want to feel embarrassed. Dan walks out of the room. Amber lifts underneath Trevor's arm, encouraging him to stand up and show Dom. Trevor reluctantly stands up and places his thumbs inside of his DPN gray sweatpants. The gray sweatpants are perfectly sized where they aren't too tight and they aren't too loose. Dom can clearly see the shape of Trevor's 7-inch soon-to-be 9-inch dick sitting on his right thigh. Trevor begins to pull down his sweatpants. The waistband gets to mid-shaft when Amber abruptly reaches inside of Trevor's pants and pulls out the rest of his dick, accusing him of taking too long. Amber begins to slowly stroke Trevor's dick, urging everyone to look at her cock. Trevor grabs Amber's wrist, removing her hand from his dick and telling her to watch her mouth. Portia's frustrated face turned into a smile when she saw Trevor remove her hand. Trevor shakes his semi-erect dick. Jojo stands up wearing her powder blue DPN bodysuit. She walks behind Rose and Amber to get to Trevor. Standing on the opposite side of Trevor, Jojo takes over shaking his dick. Jojo looks at Dom as she slowly strokes Trevor's dick and proposes for Dom to stand up and spit on it. With the whole room staring minus Rose, Dom stands up, pushing her chair back, sits on the table and leans across the table towards Trevor and Jojo. With the exception of Rose, the room watches as Dom releases a string of spit onto Trevor's dick. Jojo lubricates the head and the shaft using Dom's spit. Jojo invites Dom to touch Trevor's dick. Portia erratically stands and reaches for Trevor when Mercedes grabs Portia's arm, advising her to sit because she was talking to Dom. Jojo encourages Dom not to be nervous. Dom inhales, reaches out her hand and takes a hold of Trevor's dick, providing a twisting motion as she slowly exhales. Dom can feel Trevor pulsating in her hands. Jojo instructs Trevor to hold the base of his dick. She tells Dom to hold out her hand about 4 to 6 inches from Trevor's tip. Jojo sticks her index and middle finger in her mouth. She compels everyone to watch closely. Amber echoes Jojo's request, specifically calling for Rose to pay attention. Everyone focuses on Jojo taking her 2 moistened fingers gently rubbing Trevor's frenum located underneath his penis head. Trevor's breathing volume increases. Jojo begins to rub vigorously underneath the head. Mercedes mentions an indicator in her glasses informing her Trevor was about 17 seconds from ejaculating. Amber and Portia confirm they see it also. Rose turns her head just enough where she can see Dom's hand being held out. Before Rose can blink, she sees Dom jerk her hand back as cum shoots onto her arm and into her hand. Trevor lets out a moan. Portia says aloud that she's having flashbacks and fans herself. Jojo pulls Dom's hand closer as she shakes the last bit of cum into Dom's hand. Rose is staring at Trevor's cum dripping from Dom's hand onto the table. Jojo taps the side of her glasses and requests assistance for a clean-up in the conference room. The room is silent for about 10 long seconds as all eyes are on Dom. Amber indicates to Rose it's her job to clean up the mess. Just as Rose prepares a response, light tapping on the door frame interrupts and Gloria walks into the conference room with a carrier of cleaning supplies. Gloria says hello to Mrs. Lang as she walks across the room behind Mrs. Lang, Rose, and Trevor, whose withering dick is still being held by Jojo. Gloria sets her supplies down on the large conference room table. She grabs a cup from the supply carrier. She maneuvers in between Jojo and Trevor, separating the pair, and places the cup under Dom's cum-dripping hand. Gloria commands her to place the leftovers inside. Dom turns her hand and everyone watches the cum slowly drip into the cup. Dom flings the remaining cum onto the table by rapidly waving her hand up and down, trying to shake off what's left. Trevor jerks his head back as drops of cum fly through the air. Gloria grabs a towel and wipes Dom's hand off, making sure to pay close attention to the webs between the fingers where semen likes to hide. After she cleans Dom's hand, she turns to Trevor, grabs his soft penis and wipes away the excess drip. Trevor hisses, his dick is still sensitive after ejaculating. Jojo reaches in the breast area of her bodysuit and pulls out a small vial of liquid. Gloria moves from in between Trevor and Jojo. Jojo implores Trevor to drink the liquid in the vial and to trust her. She pulls the top off of the vial, hands it to Trevor, and he drinks. Jojo urges Trevor to wait approximately 30 seconds. She steps away from Trevor and instructs Gloria to wipe his head off again. Gloria says it's her pleasure. She steps in between Jojo and Trevor and wipes the tip of Trevor's penis off. This time his hiss of sensitivity was a moan of pleasure. Gloria giggles as she feels him hardening in her hand. Jojo commands Rose to come over to her and asks Trevor to sit on the table facing his chair. Dom slides over on the table towards Portia, making room for Trevor to sit down. Rose hesitantly walks behind Amber, stopping where Trevor was sitting. Jojo rolls back Trevor's chair, requesting Rose to have a seat. Trevor scowls at Rose with disgust, disappointment, and discontent. Rose looks down in shame. Jojo commands Rose to look Trevor in his eyes and reminds her she chose to fuck him over to be in the position she's in now. Amber smiles at the look of regret on Rose's face. Portia looks at Rose and insists Rose's decision wasn't that bad because she and Trevor had an amazing experience. Trevor side-eyes Portia and challenges the use of the word amazing. Mercedes interjects and tells Trevor not to be a pussy because it was all in good fun.
Dom ignores the distraction of Trevor and the twins going back and forth. She looks over at Gloria sitting down on the other side of Jojo. Gloria is smiling and admiring Trevor's meat. Jojo snatches Dom's attention when she suddenly grabs Rose behind her head with one hand, forcing it towards her other hand, which is holding Trevor's hardening dick. Jojo looks up at Trevor, demanding he and Rose look each other in the eyes while Rose sucks him dry. Jojo can feel Trevor pulsating every time Rose's breath brushes across his tip as she slowly inches closer. Jojo's small hand can barely contain Trevor's dick at full stiffness. The conference room is dead silent. Time slows down for Dom. She can feel Amber's face tensing. She looks in her direction and witnesses Amber's heart rate and blood pressure rapidly increasing from the info provided by her glasses. Dom looks back at Rose, her lips almost touching Trevor's pre-cum leaking tip, also noticing her increasing heart rate. Dom places a hand on top of Trevor's hand, which is being used to prop himself up on the table. She tucks a couple of fingers underneath his hand at the time that Rose engulfs 9 inches of hard dick in one swoop. Dom feels Trevor lightly grip her fingers as he lets out a growl. Mercedes and Portia shout "damn" simultaneously. Amber immediately turns her head away from Rose and Trevor and stares at the wall.
Jojo is sitting on the edge of the table next to Trevor, rubbing his back. She's pleading with Rose to show Trevor how sorry she is for using him. Rose holds Trevor deep in the back of her throat until she gags. She releases. Spit and saliva is hanging from Trevor's shaft in Rose's mouth. Rose coughs as a tear rolls down her cheek. She uses both hands to massage the stringy saliva into the shaft. Her eyes cut to Amber, who's facing the wall as she goes back to sucking the life out of Trevor. Trevor growls as his grip on Dom's hand tightens. Jojo encourages Rose by saying how good of a job she is doing. She leans in close to Trevor's dick and Rose's face. She releases spit onto the shaft of Trevor's already lubricated dick. Rose's top lip glides over Jojo's spit, mixing it in with her own. Portia starts to count down from 5. She reaches 1 and cum oozes from the sides of Rose's mouth as she continues to suck. Jojo grabs Trevor's dick as Rose pulls away and instructs Rose to hold out her tongue. Jojo strokes the shaft forward, squeezing the last bit of cum onto Rose's tongue. She commands Amber to turn around and face Rose. Jojo indicates to Rose she wants her to spit Trevor's cum into Amber's mouth. Trevor looks back at Dom and the twins with disbelief as they watch Rose stand up. With cum dripping down the sides of her mouth, Rose hovers over Amber. The annoyance in Amber's voice reverberated off of the walls as she tried to say hell no, but before she could finish, Rose grabs Amber by her face and kisses her on the lips, using her tongue to spread the cum around Amber's lips and face. After about an 8 seconds lip lock, Rose releases, takes her arm and wipes the excess cum from her mouth. She explains to Amber her dad was just her dad and she knew nothing about him having another woman outside of her mother. Amber licks around her lips as she listens to Rose. Rose expresses to Amber that she recently found out about her the other day while she and a woman were chained up in a dungeon with Marco. Rose turns around and looks at Trevor and apologizes for using him. She explains that the man she knew as her father wasn't rich. She grew up thinking her father was a gadget salesman. Rose admits she always thought her dad sucked at his job because they never had money. He was always gone and they had a closet full of his unsold gadgets. Rose glares at Amber and makes an assumption of where all of her father's money went. Gloria grabs a towel and walks past Jojo, mumbling to herself about a man having such a small dick causing so much drama. She starts blotting Rose's face. She finishes and proceeds to move the towel to Amber's face. Amber holds out her hand, declining Gloria's assistance. She uses her finger to wipe the excess cum and sucks her finger immediately after. Gloria smiles at Amber and tells her good choice right before she turns and wipes off Trevor's deflated dick. Trevor hisses as the towel brushes across his sensitive head. Rose walks back to her seat. Dom takes her hand and sits back in her seat. Portia blurts out and asks Jojo if it's her turn and if she has any more love juice serums in her titties.
Is it my turn?
Mercedes snickers as Amber cuts her eyes at Portia. Portia reminds Amber about how she used him also. She suggests to her, Trevor has enough meat for everyone to enjoy. Gloria can be heard in the background seconding Portia's statement. Jojo makes her way back to her seat, telling Amber to help Trevor put it away since she took it out. Trevor stands up while Amber pulls back the waistband of Trevor's sweatpants and carefully places his dick back into the pants. Trevor sits down in his seat. Jojo slides a vial of the love juice down to Trevor and calls for Dan to come back in the room.
Dan, come back in. Gloria packs up her supplies and tells everyone bye. Bye. She passes Dan as he re-enters the room. Jojo stops Gloria at the doorway and tells her to drop the cup off on the 3rd floor. They will know what to do with it. Dan claps his hands together and assures everyone in the room had a good time and he would like to continue with his presentation. Dan continues his monologue.
Trevor, I see you got to try out our new serum that allows men to get right back into action. Ella Watts, PhD. Our serum specialist has spent countless hours researching and developing a concoction that replenishes, rejuvenates, and revives men after they ejaculate. Trevor, I also heard you are familiar with a tip tickler. We use that particular piece of equipment to test and get results. The serum will allow the male members to keep spending money rather than having to take breaks to build back enough stamina to keep their hardware running. Trevor, drinking plenty of fluids is vital because over-ejaculation can dehydrate you.
Jojo reaches down beside her seat, goes into her bag, grabs a bottle of water and slides it down the table to Trevor. Trevor opens the bottle and starts drinking.
In developing this new system, Jojo, and I didn't anticipate her passing the network reins over so quickly, but Dom's resilience in finding out who I am outside of the industry forced our hands to adapt and change things up. Some of you have received tablets. That would be Dom, Amber, and Trevor. You all are responsible for maintaining network information such as client logs and access levels. You 3 need to work together and organize a system. The 6 of you are tasked with finding 5 more like-minded individuals with talents beneficial to the network. There will be plenty of candidates to choose from at tonight's festivities. New recruits will go through a process similar to everyone in this room. For instance, Rose, you had to double-cross Trevor.
The eyes in the room focus on Rose. Amber whispers the word bitch as she rubs Trevor's back.
Trevor, you have always worked for the network. Those women you were secretly sleeping with on the job were clients. The Citadel Spa and Retreat is operated by my network. The project you have been working on the past month has been for tonight's event.
Everyone looks at Trevor as he shrugs his shoulders, claiming the women had leaky faucets. Dom notices Rose with a look of confusion on her face. She sees Rose mouthing something, but the only word she could make out was the word girlfriend. Amber chimes in, claiming she also has a leaky faucet.
Mercedes and Portia, you both have earned your way by the interrogation tactics used on Trevor. The tip tickler was a clever tool. Amber, you're fucking crazy, and I like it. Because of you, Amber, we have Gloria, and she's amazing. Dom, Jojo told me about the video chat and how you handled everything thus far. You need to pat yourself on the back. I see Trevor has finished his vial. Maybe the 2 of you can take a couple of minutes and test the serum.
Amber, Portia, and Rose glare at Dom as she declines Dan's suggestion.
No, thank you.
Also, you guys can ditch the corny superhero outfits. Our designer will be unveiling new individualized outfits for each of you. We want to encompass who you all really are. Trevor, I set up a special appointment for you so they can get your correct measurements. I'm assuming there might be a little more room needed in the crotch. As you all heard through the DPN communication system via the DPN glasses, it's convention week here at the Citadel Spa and Retreat. Regular guests from various corporations across Sidore Island will be enjoying the retreat amenities and experiences. Your +1s and members already associated within the network will complete challenges to move up access levels. Members who are RAL5 who brought a +1 will have the ability to become a lifeline and assist their +1, aiding them in their challenge. Only 1 lifeline can be used. So if RAL1 wants to move up to RAL5, they can only use 1 lifeline through the whole process, so it's in their best interest to use it wisely.
Dom raises her hand and asks what to expect regarding the challenges.
What are the challenges?
Dan smiles, does a shimmy with his shoulders, and answers Dom's question.
My production studio, along with the assistance of Trevor, over the past few months have been building studio sets throughout the hotel. Rose, you had the pleasure of experiencing the torture dungeon. What did you think? It was great, wasn't it? The rooms and areas are challenge-specific, and challenges are tailor-made for each individual. They reveal information about themselves, and we create the challenge. The most exciting thing is we have installed cameras everywhere. Members RAL5 mingling in the banquet hall will have the pleasure of witnessing everything live from the TVs inside the banquet hall. Each challenge participant has been designated an assigned number, which allows us to make wagers on the rage levels we believe the participants will make.
Jojo taps her watch. Dan looks down at his watch.
Well, ladies and Trevor, it is about time to head to the banquet hall. Feel free to mingle. We have an open bar, an exotic food menu, big screen entertainment with top-of-the-line production, an assortment of verified and tested drugs to enhance your experience. And most importantly, we have you. On the next episode of Bella Vita.
The party has begun. Grab your wine and thirst because you're going to need something to sip and something to hold on to. Welcome to Ragefest.